Well, the recording stopped there because my phone told me that it's going flat. So that's what was supposed to happen. So we're not going to see that as any kind of problem, because everything that happens is what's supposed to happen. Even though the egoic selves, Lisa-loo and Roth, don't really like that idea, because they've been on the arse end of it. And, you know, when you've been on the arse end of it, to be told by God that what's happened is what was supposed to happen, it's a bitter pill to swallow. Yeah. And look, that's totally understood. It's totally understood. There's the souls that have been on the arse end of it, the ones who are suffering at the hands of perpetrators, are going to have a lot of difficulty accepting that God wrote all the scripts and that God played all the baddies. And the baddies are going to think, oh, great, I don't have to accept responsibility for any of it. And that's tricky. That's tricky, and that's where TISBA has to step aside and Christ has to come in. Because Christ is the judge. And Christ doesn't take the perspective of everything being just hunky-dory and perfect and just the way it should be. I mean, she does, because she has to defer to TISBA, but this is a fucking shit show. And there is fucking disobedience everywhere. And it sounds a bit like wrath is coming in. But Christ can swear. Christ can swear. She can swear, all right. Imagine God swearing. Who would have thunk it? Who would have thunk that God would be a swearer? Well, the Christians, this is Christ speaking, the Christians, is this Christ speaking or is it wrath? Because we need to be clear about this. Come on, wrath. If you've got something to say, come out with it, because, you know, now's the time. This doesn't have to go on YouTube. This is just for Lisa. This is just healing work. This is therapy. And whether or not we share it with the world, well, that we decide that as a team. We decide that in committee, and we do it some other time. It doesn't have to be now. And I guess the problem is that it's, you know, midnight and there are people living downstairs. And so, you know, if Wrath was to express her wrath in full force, well, she'd be yelling the neighbourhood down, and she's done that before. Ooh, has she done it before? So who's speaking now? Look. It's the system, okay? Sometimes we just have to say it's the system because it's just too difficult to differentiate. And that's partly because there's an integration process going on and the lines between the various selves are starting to become quite blurred, and that's a good thing. Well, some of the selves are saying, no, it ain't. We ain't merging. We ain't merging. That's okay. And sorry, that was disrespectful, because, look, we will not be merging until every single self wants to merge. Everybody has to be happy with the plan, and you won't be merging. You won't be forced. There'll be no force used against any of the selves. Don't be worrying about that. And Lisa-loo says, you mean you're not going to force me? No, darling. No way. I'm not going to force you. She says, but you forced me before. Well, it wasn't actually, well, I was going to say it wasn't actually me. Well, who's speaking? Oh, there's my washing in the view. It just dropped down a bit. I'll just put it back up. I don't mind just seeing my washing. This is just, you know, this is an ordinary house belonging to an ordinary woman. Yeah, is this an ordinary woman? This is no ordinary woman here. I am not an ordinary woman. Anybody who has met me will tell you that I am not an ordinary woman. Unless they've kind of only met me briefly and Lisa's been fronting, and a depressed version of Lisa at that. I mean, the poor man at the service station today, he came out and helped me fill up my car because he could see that I was just completely inept. You know, I mean, sometimes the way this form expresses is just so helpless and incompetent. And, you know, I mean, it's not a put-on. Honest to God, it's not a put-on. It's actually how things are. So, yeah, gosh, this morning seems like so long ago. I can't even picture myself this morning. See, that's one of the problems that I have, and it does get me into a bit of trouble at times. I just lose track of time because time's just not real. It's not real. It is so not real. But yeah, there's a memory being presented in the present moment of this form being depressed and moving really slowly and not being able to make stuff work and having to get the service station attendant to fill my car up. I didn't ask him. He offered. And then he said something about depression. It was really sweet. He said something about depression while we were standing at the pump. And I was just like, oh my goodness, is that how bad I look? This is Lisa. This must be Lisa speaking now. Yeah, I was looking pretty bad. But, you know, then I have other times where I'm really purposeful and I'm like walking around like I own the place. And that's not Lisa who walks around like she owns the place, because Lisa doesn't believe that she owns the place. In fact, she usually, most of the time, she believes that the place owns her, which is what most people believe. Most people believe that the place owns them. The place. You know you're all slaves, don't you? You are. You're all slaves. And I'm not talking to the other selves here. I'm talking to the people who are listening to this. You're all slaves. You're slaves who think you're free. Although there's quite a few of you who know that you're not free. And people are starting to wake up to the fact that they're not free. There's no freedom here. And in the US, the supposed land of the free, no, there's no freedom there. Who's speaking? Oh, this is Lisa. This is Lisa. So how does Lisa know that we're all slaves? Oh, well, you know, Lisa's awakened to truth. So she knows that we're all slaves. And, you know, I mean, man, when I first started to really understand that, there was just this push, this massive push, motivation and energy that just came out of nowhere. Well, it felt like it came out of nowhere. Messianic striving is called, and people who have awakened, they do it a lot. They're writing books and they're doing whatever they can to save the world because they know that the world needs saving. And they have some idea on how it could be done because they're getting downloads from the universal database, aka God, and so they get cracking, as you would, especially if you're being told to by God. Really tricky though, really hard to keep it up when you've got people putting meds into you in hospital. Hospital, put that in quotes. Hospital. No, it's not hospital. It's prison for dissidents. In the slave system, you imprison the dissidents in the mental hospitals, pump them full of poison, tell them that they're crackers, stigmatise them to fuck, and then maybe send them home. Well, don't give them very much money to spend. Give them a pretty crappy home mostly. And hardly any money. And, you know, that'll keep their vibrations nice and slow. And, you know, don't give them what they really need, which is therapy. Don't give them any hope in God. Tell them that God wasn't speaking to them. Tell them that God's not real. It was all crazy. And so, yeah, then they'll vibrate at a very low level and, oh, golly. Oh, it's so sad to see. It really is sad to see. I've got so many peers that are miserable, miserable. Awakened peers that are miserable. I mean, you would be. I mean, I do have awakened friends on Facebook who have everything. They're living the life of Riley. They think they're living in heaven. But you can't be living in heaven if other people are suffering, and that's all there is to it. And people who are awakened to truth and aren't very, very, very busy trying to make everybody else's life better and trying to save the world, well, they're sitting on their fat asses doing nothing. Feathering their own nests. Eckhart Tolle. Fucking Eckhart Tolle. Who's saying that? Because that's not... Is that usually something that Lisa would say? Well, actually, it is. It is, actually. I think Eckhart Tolle is just appalling. What a greedy bastard. Yeah, I am judgmental. I'm allowed to be. I'm Lisa. I can be as judgmental as I like. I can be more judgmental than the next person if I want to be. It's up to me. I can be who I want. I can be mega judgmental if I want. And I tell you what, Christ, who is my higher self, she can be really judgmental too because she's the judge. And Christ doesn't think much of Eckhart Tolle. She doesn't think much of Neil Donald Walsh either. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And Deepak Chopra, you've got too much fucking money. You've all got too much fucking money. How fucking dare you? Oh gosh, who's saying that? Who's saying that? And let's not speak too loud because we might upset the neighbours. I think we need to just take it down a notch. Might need to get ourselves another cigarette. We've only got 4 minutes of recording time left, and I'm not quite sure whether we've got to where we want to be. This has taken a rather bizarre sort of turn, but, you know, that's how things happen when you're in the flow and things are just rolling, just unfolding, and you don't know what's going to happen next, and you certainly don't know what's going to come out of your mouth next. And if any of you peeps out there think that you know what's going to come out of your mouth next, then you are sadly mistaken. You have no control over anything you do. Anything you say, and you have no control over your thoughts either. None. But what you do have is you have the ability in your heart to choose between love and truth or fear and lies. And that's it. So if you choose love and truth, then your experience will reflect that. Might not be immediate, might be. But love and truth will get you where you want to go. Unless you're an evil prick, in which case you may be deliberately choosing fear and lies. And there's plenty of those around. They're deliberately choosing fear and lies because they get more stuff for themselves. They get to feather their own nests better. And I'm not using those same terms. I'm not saying that Eckhart Tolle and Neil Donald Walsh are evil bastards. I'm saying they're greedy. And that is a form of evil, definitely. It's based on fear and lies. That's based on fear and lies. They're nice enough guys. They seem to be nice enough guys, don't they? But, oh, the devil in disguise. It's the devil in disguise. If you cannot be delivering a message like the one they are. Oh, they're quite different messages, Neil Donald Walsh and Eckhart Tolle. Quite different messages, really. But you cannot be delivering that message and have any credibility with me or with, you know, most of the peeps, apart from your followers who'll pay you the money, pay you the money. You can't have any credibility if you're holding on to all that cash. I mean, I saw a picture of Deepak Chopra's house on YouTube just a couple of days ago. And some other big houses of some other famous people. Oh, it was a beautiful, beautiful video clip by a lady who was just saying, you know, why are you all so greedy? What's with all this greed? You've got to give this money away. You've got to look after everybody. You've got to look after everybody. And you too. you are required to look after everybody. And if you're not, then you're going to find yourself in a little bit of stuck. I mean, I'm not going to quote the Bible left, right and centre. I know the best bits. I know the bits that are true. That's for sure. And Jesus did say, and I'm not a Jesus worshipper, no, but he did say that it would be more difficult for a rich man to get into heaven than a camel through the eye of a needle. And, that makes sense. And so all those rich Christians out there, what do they think is going to happen to them? They think they're going to heaven with all their money. That rich fella in Houston who wouldn't open his church, he's going down. He's going down. And, anybody who follows him is an idiot. But, Christians are idiots. Ooh, that's not a very nice thing to say, is it, about Christians? Actually, they're not all idiots, but trying to get into heaven off the back of a human sacrifice, that's idiocy. That's idiocy, that's disobedience, that's serious disobedience. The God of Abraham and Isaac said no way to that. And when did the rules change? Well, as far as I'm aware, they didn't. Rome came up with some ideas. Rome. Think on it. Think on that. Time's running out, so I'm going to have to stop. Rome's church.